Pharaoh's heart, changed Pharaoh's heart, gave Pharaoh the utterance to say, let my people go, and then change his mind, because God will never allow his people to be held captive. And he will always allow the sins of our own hearts to even cause our own demise. And so when you said what you said to her, it was literally to get her free. It was to get her free. And then when you try to come back around and say, well, I really didn't mean that, what I really meant or whatever. No, you finally spoke truth out of your heart. Yeah. That's the reason why I allowed y'all to come on this podcast and have a conversation that is even uncomfortable to me. Even I don't promote divorce, but I understand it. I understand how necessary it is, and I understand how relatable y'all's story is to my own. So that's why we're having this conversation. We're having this conversation because it don't get realer than this. Right.
Well, hey guys, we're back again for part 2 of breakdown of Dear Wifey, Dear Future Wifey podcast. This is an episode where a Christian couple, they were choosing to divorce, and they gave us a backstory that was, it was a lot. It was intense. We did part 1, which was quite lengthy, 2-hour special. This might be slightly same length or slightly shorter, but we're going to really break down what's really been said, and what's not being said, and hopefully bring about some restoration to not to them, but maybe to people who are watching. Give some answers that some people are trying to find, and hopefully as well be able to break down and make it teachable and palatable, and be able to receive it for each of us as well, to understand some things about relationships, ourselves, and marriage. All right, let's get into the video. If you're new to this channel, like it, share, subscribe, click onto that bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. All right, let's go, because the streets out there are hot. Let's go, baby.
And it hurts. My heart grieves. But I also know that I feel more empathetic towards your wife than you even do right now. And I ain't took a vow with this woman, because your emotions are so closed up, you can't even feel. That's the reason I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's why I ask you, how do you feel? Well, I just want to encourage her to do. No, that don't have nothing to do with feeling. Right. Feeling is, it breaks my heart to know that I did this damage to my wife, and my wife is broken. My wife will never come on a platform like this. I'm the one that told my wife to come on this platform. You the one that said it. You're the one that got her out here. So even thank you, Holy Spirit, she's still serving your needs, even on the demise of your marriage. If you don't understand that, brother, ain't nothing you can understand, because she does not want to be here. She's still serving you, stepping out of her own comfort zone, stepping out of the things that make her feel valued. She's stepping out of this for you still. And then to hear you say, I feel nothing. I feel absolutely nothing. It makes her feel like the biggest fool. It makes her feel like the biggest idiot. It makes her feel like, why couldn't I listen to myself way back then? God has anointed me, given me so much wisdom, and I denied my own self. I went against my own self when I chose you. Oh, and I knew better than this. Oh my God. And so you look many years later, 12 years later, the number 12 is the number of covenant, but y'all covenant has been broken. And you go through all these 12 years to only arrive at the very place that you saw way back then that could have happened. And her worst fear is right in front of her face right now. That's how your wife is. So we go back to this place here where you said y'all wanted to come on this podcast because, first of all, y'all still haven't filed, right?
He just told me the other day he filled out the paperwork 2 months ago. He was waiting for this, so he finna just push send. Guess tonight.
So y'all want to push send, and why were you waiting for this, Vincent?
The same way she said she wanted people to get healed, I had that same mindset. To expose men like myself that need to discover their brokenness. A lot of times people are not discovering their brokenness. They're trying to discover something to help their brokenness instead of just discovering that they need God. First, you need to love God first and serve God first and have a relationship with him and love yourself first. Then you can be able to love someone else.
So when you look at that, then when you look at how beautiful you just said that, why didn't that change and transform into fighting for your marriage?
Because the damage was done pretty much. We were supposed to been having a divorce in 2015. 2015, we had some incidents that occurred, but we decided to keep fighting.
So both of y'all came together and said, we're going to fight.
We're going to fight.
I wish he would have said, though. He should have just
What, should have got divorced in 2015? Why you say that?
2015 had some flags. I mean, it had, we were.
I mean, the whole marriage had flags.
Yeah,
That's
but
not that, for me. The whole marriage. I don't know what flags he talking about.
Pause. I know. Listen, I know people are gonna know that I'm being hard, yeah, but I need her to keep quiet. You see, when he starts talking, yeah, he just about sums up the. Listen, I know it sounds bad. It's like, yo, and by the way, Latara's done a great job of holding him accountable, so fantastic. But the moment he starts running to try and tell us maybe some more information, just as he starts getting there, she cuts him at the knee again. And that means you can't get answers from him. I keep saying this about certain men like him struggle to express themselves verbally. It takes a bit of time. But when he's just about to give us some answers to actually understand where the frick is he, why 2015, why now, why is it 7 years later, why is this, why are you not, please let him finish. And I know, listen, I know she's got anger and I know she's frustrated, she's hurt. It's not the anger and the hurt, this is her. I'm gonna say it to you so straight. I know people always think that it's only because of now acting this way. No, you had the same characteristics before, right? Because every time he's about to start, every time in this conversation, just as about to maybe get some type of answer from him because we're not sure what the hell's going on in his brain, it gets cut. Let him finish. Let him answer. Let him give us some answers so we know where his mind is at and where it's coming from. Because every time he starts, it's like, So, because it's frustrating. He's just about to start. And so I think in his head, he's got in his head, what I'm hearing is, this is no point. I brought her on there. Maybe he thought something would change. Maybe he thought this would be the last ditch effect where maybe something might change. Maybe I'll see something. Maybe I'll hear something that's different. No. He's hearing the exact same thing as he was hearing before, right? It's only solidifying what he felt. I'm not saying that if she'd done anything majorly different, he would change his mind. I'm just saying that it just kind of final nail in the coffin, final nail, just nailing it down. And it's not to say that she's bad. It's to say about, again, in his head, how he's thinking. It's like, I thought maybe one last try, but, nothing's really there. I just wish I want to hear what he's got to say. I want to know,
About, because he's had nothing but life. Like, it's nothing but, I've poured into this man. Poured. When I had nothing, like fumes, I still poured. Like, he don't even understand. Like, I would tell him, I was like, do you know I'm here? Because he would say stuff like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and it was always future casting. And I'm saying, but what about the present? What about right now? Because I'm here. And so he would always talk about things he was going to do. But he would never talk about things like, let's do this. It was so many things. Like, every dream he had, I promoted it. When we first got married, he wanted to start a clothing line, do this. He bought all this stuff. I went and sat up on the side of the road to sell his stuff. He never came. I did that.
You say he never came to sell his own stuff?
No, he never showed up.
Wait, what the? Hold on a minute. How you gonna start a business? No, wait. I need more understanding. No. I need more to the story because I feel like something's missing. Yeah, I know. No, wait. I think something's missing. Right? How you gonna start a business? Now I need you to deep this. Like a t-shirt clothing brand, I'm gonna start, and then I don't get to sell it. You're standing on the street selling my product. What the heck am I doing? What the heck am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm asking the same. What the heck am I doing? Now, I need to know. I think there's a deeper part of the story, and I think the other part of the story potentially is: did she? And again, I know probably I'm asking the question: did she take over? Meaning, I know she got involved and ended up selling his t-shirts, but I just don't understand why someone does that, gets involved, and ends up doing all the work for you, and then you just sit back. You wouldn't stop. Right? So that's a bit weird for me. Okay, so did you end up taking over? Did you allow him to do what he's supposed to do? I'm asking that question. I'm not saying that's what's happened. I'm asking the question. Did she take over? because the story's being told from a perspective of he didn't do nothing. And I'm like, but why did he not do nothing? You know what I mean? Like, how come he had a dream and then you end up executing the dream and you end up on the street selling the clothing brand, but he's not doing nothing? So did you take over? That's what I want to know. Like, do you know what I mean? But anyway, let's get back into it. Woo, chill out.
I would set up on the side of the road to sell his stuff, and he never came. He wouldn't even show up. And then it was like after 3 months, he would do something else, and then he would do something else, and then I was like, oh my God, what are we doing?
So Vincent, answer that real quick. What made you not show up that day?
Yep, that's awesome.
She said I never showed up. It was probably one or twice.
I'm talking about
he never showed up.
Her experience is you didn't show up. It shouldn't be no time you didn't show up if it's your dream.
Yeah.
So you admit that that she came and supported you. Let me ask you that. Ask you this: did she support your dream?
She supported.
Did she not only support it, but she started actually helping you with it and helping lead your dreams? Because if she went out and started setting up stuff on the side of the road, how could you not be there? Where were you? Adam, where are you?
The terrorist, it goes back to that thing again, man. Finding yourself. At that time when I was trying to start things, it was based on ego, based on trying to keep up with the Joneses type.
Where were you? All that sounds great, but that's still making present. Where were you?
I probably was in the house.
So your wife is out there grinding. She already the breadwinner. She always making money on her profession. Then she hops on your profession, your dream. Then you let her lead that too.
Yep.
You know how frustrating that would be to a woman?
Bro, what is going on, bro? What is going on? Sir, how the frick are you in the house? And your wife... No. Sir, we need answers today before we flog you like they did Jesus. What is going on? Why? And the answer is given is not sufficient enough for me. The answer is given is not sufficient enough for me. There's something more. I need more from you, sir. You sat in the house while she did what she did because of ego? Nah, that don't make no sense. Even narcissists don't do this. There's something else. You're not telling us the full story. It don't make sense. You set up a business to do selling t-shirts, all right? And then what? You let your partner go out there and sell the stuff, and then you're chilling in the yard. Bro, you need to come up with we need answers quick, because this is sounding very, very mad. This is sounding very, very mad. Wow, what is going on? Nah, I need answers. We need answers, sir. We need answers.
So when you see these tears and when you see this frustration, it's because she's been sowing and she's been pouring into a glass with holes in it. And she could pour all she wants to. It's gonna just fall out. It ain't even nothing is seeping in, nothing is staying in. The container is a big hole in it. And have you ever gone through therapy, even after this stage, to start healing that abandonment issue that you had as a young boy?
Yeah, but abandonment issue does not provide what he's providing right now. That's what I'm saying. Something else is happening. There's something deeper and I'm not saying it's even good. Abandonment issue does not make when you start a business to go into the yard, okay, leave it alone and let your wife go out and sell the t-shirts and you can be comfortable sitting in the yard, right? So either there's something deeper to the story, or sir, we need to go deeper with your mindset, because it's got the abandonment. This is not affecting how you start a business. Yeah, it can affect how you might move with a person, but abandonment now you don't want to get involved with the business. What? Something that's going to help you potentially financially get more growth and actually be on an equal level playing field. You didn't want to do that. You're going to let her take over again and have a... This is not making sense. This is not making sense, sir. I'm going to need you, okay? I'm going to need you to come correct. All right? I'm going to need you to come correct, because something's not quite right and I need more answers. I need you to press in deep. I need you to squeeze from the olive branch. I need to squeeze from the grape branch, because, bro, right now, what you're giving me, mid-range, and I need the roots, because it's not making any sense at all as to your reasoning, right? Nothing's being provided at this moment. We need more.
As far as now, I'm pretty much good. Since in the beginning, and when you talked to me in April, that process was, starting, but the healing process was different. I had to heal in order to tell her how the truth of me at that point. So the thing about our marriage, we failed to tell you that I was working on trying to get myself together in the midst of our problems so that we can stay together. It wasn't just I came and just told her, oh, I don't love you, at that point, we was trying to keep things going, and God, and I told her this, and she cried. I told her, I said, God was trying to save our marriage, but he was doing it in the way that I was going to get my character right and get myself together mentally.
I can respect that.
Mentally. And
I don't know if you guys noticed as well. Did you guys notice as well that, yes, that's the honest truth. You know what? Thank you for saying it, guys. I appreciate you guys for saying it. You know, I didn't want to be the villain every single time saying this, but I appreciate you guys saying it. Because the other part is, if he sat in a house, why would you go and do it for him? That's not serving either. By the way, this is not serving either. See, some people see this to be, I'm serving you. It's also not serving either. If you said you have an idea that you want to create a business, right? And then I end up going ahead, getting a t-shirt design, getting this, getting that, then end up trying to sell it on the street too. I've not served you. I've taken over. There's a big difference. Right? Very, very big difference. And sometimes we get confused what serving is and taking over is. There's a big difference. I was helping you. Were you? And did I ask for that help? And I'm not saying that he's not responsible. I'm saying I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him too, because I think also his passiveness and inability to really put himself in a driving seat to push forward his own idea is problematic, and it's symptomatic of somebody who has lack of confidence within their own ability and a lack of self-belief. And men too as well, one of the difficulties is you have to let men figure stuff out. You have to let men figure stuff out, and sometimes that means that they're not with you. But if you provide all the answers, then he's not actually doing the work. He's not able to do work. Yes, it's enabling rather, right? Because I'm just so confused as to how I can start a business and an idea, and I can be in the house and you could be outside selling my t-shirts. I just find that bemusing. You know what I mean? Like it's baffling. But again, if I feel like you're taking over, I've gone, well, let her handle it. I'm tired of, but he's got to figure it out. And I know that every time the answer is I'm broken, but that's not the answer. The answer is there's a reasoning for it. Why did you allow her to do it? Let's tell the truth. Give me the honest truth. In that moment, why did you allow her to go ahead and start doing the thing? What were you seeing at that point in time? There's deeper to this, and this is until he gives that fullness of truth, he will continually be in the same place where he's mystified by his own behavior, because he's honestly not trying to look deeper as to the reason and why. You know what I mean? Let's go.
every time I try to get myself.
Sorry, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, in the last 2 minutes or so, as he started talking, let me just go back to where this conversation started. I want you to pay attention. What is this?
As far as now, I'm pretty much good. Since in the beginning, when you talked to me in April, that process was, starting, but the healing process was different.
Pause. At this point here, I noticed the change of his energy. You know what I mean? Notice the change of his energy as well. That change of his energy, he is more confident speaking at this moment, whereas other times when they're asking him a question about feelings, he becomes very withdrawn. But now you can kind of see now that the energy's coming to him. The way he's talking is a bit more forcefulness, a bit more confidence in the way he's talking about this particular section. So it's quite interesting to see this.
I had to heal in order to tell her how the truth of me at that point. So the thing about our marriage, we failed to tell you that I was working on trying to get myself together in the midst of our problems so that we can stay together. It wasn't just I came and just told her, "Oh, I don't love you." At that point, we was trying to keep things going, and God and I told her this, and she cried. I told her, I said, God was trying to save our marriage, but he was doing it in the way that I was going to get my character right and get myself together mentally.
I can respect that.
Mentally, and every time I try to get myself mentally, spiritually, and physically together, she'd be like, I'm tired of this. And I feel like she'll always mess up the process of what God was doing in me. I can take you back last year around Christmas time.
Pause. Okay, so this is really interesting, right? This is really interesting. So he said, this is the first time I properly heard him blame her for anything, right? This is the first time he's properly kind of blamed her. This is the one time he said, God was making inroads in him and healing him, right? And changing his character. He's very confident about this, right? You can hear it in the way he's talking. And then he says, and then he says, obviously now, she would then get, annoyed and then mess up what God was kind of doing in him. This is the first time he's kind of blamed her. Now I think this is going to be some interesting information that's going to come out of this place, because now he's talking properly. And what I mean by that is that he's talking with more vim. You know what I mean? Like this is what he wants to say. You know what I mean? So let's get into that and see what they're saying.
God was like, you need, go ahead and cook for her whole family. And God revealed to me that it was going to break the spirit of selfishness. So I went to go ahead and do all that stuff like that. And she was like, you always cook all the time. That don't mean nothing. And that kind of set me all the way back to like, what's the point of doing it? And so that's why I had to do the fasting, to try to get clarity and understanding, what are we doing?
So in this whole process, y'all still weren't getting marriage counseling or anything?
And so did you hear what he said? So so I think that's also what happened with the t-shirt situation, right? It's the takeover. Yeah, it's the takeover stuff again. So as soon as he encounters any form of resistance, he shuts down. Whether that's right or wrong is irrespective, that's a behavior. And because he's not confident in himself, and insecurity, remember he's got insecurity, that's problematic, bro, because now you can't lead effectively, because it shouldn't be any little thing. And I've been there before, and I do know that sometimes when you're dealing with somebody, as soon as you give an idea, they shut it down or whatever, right? But this is why, as an individual, you have to come to your confident place. You have to come to your place where you can stand on your own 2 feet and say, I believe in what I'm doing. And I always tell the story. I said, when I was starting YouTube full time, me and my missus at the time had a conversation about it, and she didn't believe I should go into it full time. She felt like I should get some work because it's more stable. And I told her, no, I'm going to do this because God has told me to do it. And I remember how emotional she got. She was scared. She was like feeling some type of way, because it's like, but YouTube is not a guarantee. And absolutely right, I understood where she was coming from, but I told her straight with no illusions, I am going to do this. And whether you like it or not, this is the direction we're going to. And the reason being is because if I'm wrong, I can double back. But as a man, if I stop trying to lead and I try to bend my will to you, all that will happen is you'll resent me in the end. And I can't stop because you're feeling some type of way about what I believe is the vision that I've called to. And I always remember, and I keep saying this, when I look at Abraham and I look at Sarah, every time that story comes up, everybody forgets that Sarah told Abraham, you can go and have another wife. Go on, take her on. Everyone forgets that part, and everybody remembers the part that he had Ishmael. Do you know why? Because no one remembers that part. They only focus on the fact that you had Ishmael, and Ishmael has caused a whole madness after that. But the point was, he got the green light from Sarah. Sarah was going, go on, have her. It wasn't even his idea, it was her idea, right? But in the end, she blamed him. So as a man, if you don't stand on your own 2 feet, you're going to cause problems not only for your family, but generations after you. And so as soon as this situation has come about, his inability to wrestle and to be conflict, to deal with conflict, it becomes a problem, right? He's got a very passive-aggressive way of dealing with conflict, which is going back to what the sex situation was. I'm not going to hit you face-to-face. I'm not going to talk to you face-to-face, but I will passively-aggressively maneuver sex so that now you don't get it. Go and get yours. That's a passive-aggressive move. Instead of just dealing with you physically, when I say physically, more of a case of talking to you face-to-face about the situation, how I feel. No, I'm going to do it subtly, and I'm going to manipulate the situation so I can wrestle back power, rather than just telling you, I don't like the way you're operating. And I think that same passive aggressiveness is also what brought the whole business situation now, where she's now working outside and you're inside. You're being passive aggressive once more again. Whatever idea you thought you brought forward to her, maybe she said something and you shut down. That shut down, bro, is an inability to express one's feelings. When you shut down, it's okay. So the shutdown comes when there's inability to when there's an inability to be able to express feelings, and 2, when there's an inability to process your feelings, the body shuts down, or let's say the mind wants to shut down. And when you meet people that don't, and many of you could identify with this, if you're not very strong on saying your opinion, and I'm one of these people as well, I realize I sometimes can do it. I don't like to impose myself. What can happen is when you start being in certain surroundings, when you go to open your mouth and someone cuts across you, I feel some type of way. When people cut across me, I feel some type of way, but I just go, all right, I'm not gonna go over it again. I don't feel like what I'm saying is important enough for me to go back over it again. So I just kind of shut down. But actually that comes from a childhood thing where you're not given the room to be able to express yourself. And you're not giving room to be able to say how you feel. So when people cut across you, when people take over, when people try to dominate, what you do is you shut down. You're like, all right, I'll go nonchalant then. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Right? But this is a very extreme manner of case because now it's happening in a marriage and it's happened in a numerous amount of cases between the two of them. So this is really interesting, it can make it very hard to understand, but he's talking very strong right now and I want to hear what he's got to say.
See, what happens is, and that's the reason why that's so important, because I know what place you're at, and I know what place she was at when you're trying to do it. It's almost like a day late and a dollar short. You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy because the damage has been done so much, and that's why you say it's even better just to go ahead and just end it because it's beyond repair. And I understand when you say, let me go ahead and do X, Y, Z. And she says, well, what does that really mean to me? And that's why it's so important to try to find out what that person needs to be able to say, what can I do for you to make you feel loved and valued? What can I do for you to make you feel like I'm changing? Tell me what you need. Write it down so that it can be irrefutable. You say, if you do X, Y, Z, this will make me feel loved. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And then if she has a problem with that, then you go, now listen now you told me to do this and I did that. Then now you're showing me that you just can't be pleased. But it's interesting because like she said, you always, what's so different, what's so important about that? Well, you had this experience with, the interesting thing when we put God in the formula, I hear y'all talk about God, this, God showed me this, God showed me this, and God does speak, and I'm never going to go and say, well, God couldn't have showed you that if it didn't work, and we're not going to debate that. What I will say is this, that when y'all's hearts are tethered to each other, that you'll be able to feel a void in her heart after talking to God that you knew you would have never known had you not went to the manufacturer. So whatever it is, the cooking, I don't know if God told you that. I don't know. All I do know is that the outcome didn't work. Yeah. Whatever happened, whether God said it, God didn't, and she had a hardened heart at that point, God told you, but the heart was hardened, we don't know. God never told you to do that, but you felt like that was the best thing that you could do because that's what you were always capable of doing, and this, whatever. What I do know is that.
So the cooking thing that he mentioned, this is really interesting because he mentioned how when he was cooking, that's what God was telling him to learn how to not be selfish. So the lesson was actually for him personally. The lesson that was being told to him was personally to him. It wasn't, and again, what the lesson also that he might have missed within that lesson, which is, it happens. The lesson that he might have missed within the lesson is also when you decided to say to her, I'm going to cook for your whole family. It wasn't to solve the issue between you and your partner, right? It's a character change that is personal, that should then begin to show outwardly. What I mean by that is, it's a lesson you're learning as a character-wise, and you had to learn it personally. It did not mean that your relationship with your wife would necessarily drastically change in that moment. You still need to go and do it, because it was to you personally. And so now when you learn it, and you get it, and you get the answer from it, it didn't matter what she did, because what God was trying to tell you was that needed to change in you. Forget about her. I will deal with my daughter, but you, my son, I got to deal with you. And in that dealing, that had nothing to do with her. And it's really hard. And this is why it's very cool in relationships, because and relationships with God, because sometimes we're not taught these things. It comes through experience. It comes through it comes through divine revelation, right? That when you're in a relationship, there are things that God will tell you that you need to change personally that might not affect the relationship, but it's going to change how you're going to operate. And you might be thinking, but what's the point? The point is, remember, even though you're married, first and foremost, your relationship with Christ is the first and foremost. The relationship with the Father through Christ is the first and foremost thing. And so that, remember, the Bible tells us that he's conforming us to the image of the Son. He didn't say, as a married couple, I'm conforming you to the image of the Son. No, he said, as an individual person, I am conforming you to the image of my Son. So yes, for you, you are selfish. Let me teach you a lesson. Go and cook for the family. And it wasn't to impress her. I think that's what he got wrong. Or at least, let me say what he got wrong. He thought that this would impress her. It wasn't to impress her. He should have still gone and cooked and said, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to cook for thingy. And I know it's not going to affect us as a relationship, but I believe that I need to cook, right? That's it. You learn how to cook, blah, blah, blah. Now, she might react in a different way, but it doesn't. If she reacts in an angry way, the result's still the same. It didn't matter what she did. you were still obedient to what God had called you to do. And therefore now you can be unselfish even when she decides that she's not going to treat you right. Now, it's one of the hardest things because it's one of the hardest things because, you know, when you look at a relationship, okay, when you look at a relationship, sometimes we're asking God for the answer to change the relationship, and all that needs to be changed is you. You need to be changed. Like, and the reason why I say that, also as well, is because I've been in a relationship where, you know, I was just in everything, you know what I mean? And in this relationship, there were things that were happening. I was complaining about certain things. I remember I was complaining about, I wish she would read her Bible more. I wish she would be more involved with God more, right? And I thought the lesson was that I needed to be more, telling her more about, hey, you know, get on it. Like, come on, encourage her, right? And I was getting frustrated with having to keep on pushing her in her relationship with God, When really the lesson that I realized when I look back at it is have some grace, and that your partner may not run at the same speed as you. And it's not requirement for her to run at the same speed as you, because your relationship with God is individual, not unison. He doesn't have a relationship through both of us. He has a relationship individually, and we are experiencing him in our marriage and as individuals. But in my head, when I was looking at it as well, she needs to change X, Y, and Z. And yeah, she did. But I failed to see something, even as a leader, that the way I'm even going about it was the same way I hated that my dad would go about it to me. It's forceful. It's always reminding you, rather than actually being, hey, look, do you know what? Let me take it on board and actually just, you know, spend some time, quality time, and actually do my own thing with God. And actually, as she watches me, that should encourage her too. If not, then maybe we're not in the right relationship. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we're not in the right relationship, right? And that's okay. And sometimes we have to change that. But there were issues that I have to look at within myself that I didn't realize that God was trying to move it to me. He was trying to tell me things. So sometimes, and it's just like relationship counseling. Sometimes, and not even sometimes, a lot of times, couples will come and think you're the problem. And sometimes they really are. And there's a lot of times people come and they say you're the problem, but really, you the problem. There's things that you need to change that you don't realize. So yeah, let's break it down some more. That
when God tells you something, it doesn't fail. His word will not return to him void. That's that. When you look at, you said you were trying to make it work. The first part of this 2022, where all this come to Jesus moment we had, what's another example that happened, not back around Christmas time, but in 2022 that happened where you said, I was literally trying to make it work with my wife?
It wasn't really no incidents, because like I said, the fasting, I try to fast twice, and you know, try to get both of us to fast so that we both can get clarity.
Sis, man, relax. Why can't you relax? The question is not even to you, it's to him. Let him finish. I need to hear what he's got to say. This is why the thing is always going gagoo. Let him finish. Let him land. My God. Must every time when you answer, you're not the person who's asking the question. It's to him. Sis, please. We are not going to get far if you don't keep interrupting him. You're not going to get the answers.
It's because I didn't want to cut him off.
Pause. Watch. I'm telling you. Watch body language. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to make it bigger for you guys. Watch his face. Okay, watch this. Okay, pay attention to this. Literally, pay attention to what he does with his lips and his facial expression. Just watch as she takes over. Just watch.
You said you were trying to make it work. The first part of this 2022, where all this come to Jesus moment we had. What's another example that happened, not back around Christmas time, but in 2022 that happened where you said, I was literally trying to make it work with my wife?
Hold on. First and foremost, pause. The question is to him, not to her. It's to him, not to her. This is not about her being hurt. This is her natural disposition that comes out when this is why a lot of the issues also to happen as well. Her ability to control and his inability to assert boundaries. His inability to set boundaries and being too passive allows her full control to maneuver as it does. It takes two to tango here, all right? So this is why. But now the question is to him, right? The question is to him. Watch what happens now and look at his face.
It wasn't really no incidents because, like I said, the fasting, I try to fast twice and, try to get both of us to fast so that we both can get clarity.
I'm going to interject because I didn't want to cut him off.
Look what happened. Do you see? Do you see it? Did you see it? As soon as he went, he didn't get to finish the thought. It don't matter if she was hearing lies or not. She keeps doing it. I'm going to be honest with you. I watch people. Even I've said this to even my friend. I said one of the greatest advice I can give to you is stop interrupting a man. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. Honestly, if you're a woman and you talk to me and I've told you, I said, some of you don't know how to keep quiet. Let him hang himself with rope. You won't. Let him hang himself with rope. Let him talk and hang himself with rope, but you won't. Let the person finish and land. Because then you get the full story. This is what me and Notorious were saying last time. Let a man finish a thought. Let it land. Right? You want answers, but you're trying to fill in the narrative yourself. Stop doing it. Let him finish. Then if he hangs himself with rope, you now know you've hanged yourself with rope. You know what I mean? The constant need to be right in that moment. I have to correct it. It causes issue for you. Relax. Let him finish. Let him land. And then you ask him, have you finished? Have you finished the thought? You know what I'm saying? Because now, again, we need to nail him to the cross, and we can't nail him to the cross because every time she finishes the story for him, now we don't know where it's going to. You know what I mean? I want to be able to deep him and be able to call out some things, and I can't because she keeps jumping in. I need her to relax. If you identify with her, stop doing it. If you identify with her, stop doing it because you're not listening and you're listening to respond. You're actually not listening. If you're a person that identifies with this behavior, stop doing it, right? Stop doing it. I'm not saying it in that way. It's not meant to be. But what I'm saying to you is, a lot of men struggle with expressing themselves when they finally get the chance to express them. Women are often versed in expressing themselves quite well, right? Because the environment we're in, unfortunately, patriarchy does us our own patriarchy does us men our own damage, right? But women are often allowed to emotionalize and be able to emote and say how they feel. Men oftentimes, due to our own problems, don't do that. And so when men finally get the chance to then say something, if you don't give him the chance, this situation, and he's already bad at it, stop cutting. And I said that I've seen that a lot of times with women. When men do it, they're argumentative, and those men oftentimes are very combative, and usually it's really bad when men do it, if I'm honest with you. You know what I mean? Us men don't do well with this. So I'm just being very honest because women tend to emote most of the time. So I'm not saying that women are bad or anything. It's more of a case of women tend to kind of try to fill in the story. Don't worry about the story. You let him hang himself. Yeah, let him hang himself. But it's very difficult. I know it's hard. It's hard not to react. I get it. I do understand that as well. When people are, especially when the story is not being told right as well, it can be very difficult as well to stay quiet. I agree. I agree that as well, right?
I really want him to get his heart out, but the fasting for him, like he would fast a lot in our marriage, but the fast.
And also want to pause. She also knows what she's doing. She said, "I really want him to get it out, but did you hear? I'm just being real, right? And the only reason why I'm going so hard on her is because if you want the answers from him, we need to do that.
But
we go back slightly,
the fact,
so you can hear it.
Really no incidents because, like I said, the fasting. I try to fast twice, and try to get both of us to fast so that we both can get clarity.
I'm gonna interject just because I didn't want to cut him off because I really want him to get his heart out. But
you didn't want to interject because you wanted to get his heart out, but then you cut him off anyway. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about. Just, if you don't want to interject, but then you interject, let the person finish, because then you get the answer that you actually want from the person. It's so hard. I know it's hard, but you need to just let him do it, right? Just let him do it, because now we don't know. All you're about to talk about is the fasting part, but you don't know exactly what he's going to say. I don't know what he's going to say now. You know what I mean? Like all we know is that when he said that, I tried to get both of us to fast, and then where were you going? I don't know. We don't know.
The fasting for him, like he would fast a lot in our marriage, but the fasting for him was always something that was tied to aesthetics. Like, I'm a fast because I want to lose weight. I'm a fast because I'm gonna start being vegan, or I'm gonna start being, like, he was jumping and moving and go, because I would have, I was trying to be vegan, but then he would go and I'm gonna be a pescatarian, I'm gonna be a this, like, it would change. And so it was just never anything solid.
So he never fasted and said, I want to fast for our marriage to be restored?
No.
You don't believe he did that?
No. Well, I believe his fast worked. I believe his fast was real.
But I'm talking about, did he say, babe, let's fast for God to restore our marriage?
No, he didn't want to. He was done. He was done in February or whenever he told me.
Was you done in February?
He was done in whatever day we got.
Baby, let him answer the question then. It's not to you, this one. Oh.
You can't say that.
You see, now he's shaking his head. Oh, this is not good. See, oh. If this was me here, because I've actually seen this live, I just tell the person, shh, keep quiet, please, don't say anything. Just because also he already told us that in the beginning when he fasted, he never fasted for anything good. He already told us that. So you're telling us again information that he's already told us. But if you had let him finish, you would have got more information. But now we're going back over the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And she still doesn't have the answers. Oh man. I just want the sister to get the answer. I want her to get the answers, but
I'm dead serious though. Like this okay. And
I want to ask Vincent, was you done in February?
No, I wasn't done in February because I had the thought.
The thought of what? The thought of hope?
The thought of, divorce, and, I even looked at, that's how I came across your channel. I was trying to look up, somebody, because I felt like if you tell the church about divorce, they're going to hit you with these scriptures and all this stuff, and you go to hell if you marry again. All this stuff was in my head. So it was pretty much, I started looking for videos, and then I came across your video, and that's when I forgot the guy's name, the one that the therapist guy.
Jay Barnett?
Yeah. When I heard his story about healing, that kind of just got me going.
Hey, King J is hard, King J is hard.
To just be, I was addicted to watching your shows and different topics, and that brought healing, and it showed me what I needed to work on. And while I was fasting, that's when I had to, let her know the truth. God was like, let her know the truth. Y'all both gonna be free, because she's hindering you and you're hindering her for the purpose that I have for her to do.
Do you feel like God gave you clarity to get a divorce?
I ain't gonna say that.
You was fasting?
No, he can't say that.
Why would you say it in you?
Well, I'm gonna say.
You told me you didn't love me after the fast. So what more clarity do you need?
Yeah. So if you got clarity and say I don't love you and I've never loved you,
That part.
then
because sometimes you.
I don't think that, but that doesn't mean he got the clarity to divorce. Maybe again there was work to do. Maybe again there was work to do. Maybe there was work to do. Maybe the next step would have been now working on that love that he had, because originally the love that he had, he's already told us it was false. The premise of the love that he had beforehand was false. Maybe in his head he's thinking now there's actual work that needs to be done on actually developing love. Maybe that's what God might have been saying. We don't know, but I appreciate the fact that he didn't say. I appreciate the fact that he didn't say that God was telling him that he should divorce. You know what I mean? He can't guarantee that. Do you know what I mean? So I appreciate him saying that. You know what I mean? I appreciate him saying that. Like, keep it a buck.
You tend to want to say the right thing and you say it the wrong way.
So what were you trying to say, Vincent? There ain't no other way of saying that.
I was trying to tell her that, this is not working, but I didn't say it in the right way in the beginning, because I was, in between.
So let me ask you this right now. Do you feel like you love your wife? Right now, do you feel like you love your wife?
I love her.
All right. Do you feel like, don't look at him like that.
Okay.
I want him to have a safe space.
I'm sorry.
Do you feel like you love your wife?
I love her.
Have you loved her? Do you feel like you loved her for 12 years?
The relationship we have, well, I'm going to say this.
Do you feel like you love her for 12 years?
Not for 12 years. It changed.
Changed to what?
Well, the process of us,
I'm saying, do you feel like you love her? Do you feel like you love her? This 12 years have gone by. Do you feel like you loved her for 12 years?
He has a love for her.
That's the
He's not
truth.
in love with her.
See, no matter how
He has a love for her. He's not in love with her. Let me just go back. What did he say? 'Cause I missed it.
like you love her, do you feel like you love her? This 12 years have gone by. Do you feel like you loved her for 12 years?
no.
That's the truth. See, no matter
He hasn't loved her for 12 years. He hasn't. He's probably got a love for her, but he never loved her. And the honest truth is also because, and this is what I say about people when you're healing and people are broken and you meet each other at different points, it could be scary. He's also growing in the knowledge of what love is. And I think also in his head is like, I definitely didn't love her. If I know what love is coming into, this definitely isn't what I think it is. And then also as well, also with that, I think he's got a care for her or a love for her, but he hasn't got the romantic "I'm in love with you," which is what people oftentimes are talking about when we say, "Do you love me?" Like if I say, "Do you love me?" right? What I'm really saying is, "Are you in love with me?" You know, if I talk to my partner. But if I say that to my friend, that's not what I'm asking. But if I'm saying to my partner, "Do you love me?" or do I say, "Do you still love me?" right? What we mean is, are you still in love with me? You know what I'm saying? And so your partner might tell you that he loves me. And let me tell you some story. Let me tell you a story, yeah? I remember one of my exes, I remember like, we had a breakup and it would been like a few months, innit? I remember I asked her as well, like I was like, "Oh, do you still love me?" And she paused and then she said, "You know what? I've got love for you." And I looked at her and I was like, that cut me deep because I knew exactly what she meant, right? There's a genuine deep down care. There's a genuine deep down love for that person, but I am not in love with you. So the Greeks break it down into several types of love, right? And so the one that we're talking about is this eros love. This someone might say lustful love, but I would say that romantic love, that being in love, that feeling or that you know, that connection where I'm connected to you, where I'm driven by a force to keep on being near you. I now don't feel that driven force anymore towards you, and I'm separate from you. And so a lot of time when we say that I love you, what we're saying is I'm in love with you. That's what you're asking. Are you in love with me? Right? Rather than do you love me? Because I'm sure if I asked, if some of you might have some exes that you don't, you know, that are really cool still. You might say, I've still got love for them. I don't love them, but I still got love for them. And what we really mean is I still care about them, and I don't want to be in a relationship with them. You know, I don't want to be romantic with them. You know what I mean? You know, it's more of a case of I got a love for you. So yeah, you know, I think I hear what he's saying, you know, but he's not in love with her, which is why even now it's a struggle to want to be in a relationship. I'm sure, you know what I mean.
how we tap dance around it, we're gonna get back to the truth. Like you talking to another man, we gonna call, we gonna talk real. We gonna keep it lit. So at the end of the day, we just got right back to the very thing that you said to her at the very beginning. I didn't love you.
And the reason why I have a problem with like kind of answering in a way, because it's almost like you got a difference between loving somebody and being in love.
Oh,
I asked you what you love.
there you go. I haven't watched this, but I haven't watched this video. You know, I am not lying. I've not watched this video. So the fact that he said it is confirmed it. I can see how his brain is really whizzing. It's whizzing. The question. Do you love your wife? He loves her. He loves her. He's not in love with her though. That's why he wants to get out.
Love her. I ain't asked if you was in love. I said you love her.
But what's the definition of love? As far as you love somebody and you in love with somebody, they're two different ways, two different things.
You tell me, what does it mean to you? Because different people mean different stuff. You don't want to turn to your wife and say, I never loved you. That came out your mouth. What did you mean when you said love?
He's
in
never
that,
been
in that
in love
regard?
with her. He's never been in love with her.
When I told her that, behind that, it was saying I really want to say I couldn't love you the way that you wanted to be loved.
And then how did you show that? Oops, I made a mistake. I said it wrong. Then how did you show from that February all the way to August? How did you show her that that was a mistake? That I want to show you how you should be loved. You think that you've ever showed her from February to now that you said, now let me show you how you should be loved?
I didn't show her how to be loved in the way she wanted to be loved.
Let me interject real quick, because I came home.
Nope, he hasn't. Okay, because the reason why, And the reason why he hasn't shown her is because he's not in love with her. He's not. So as the reason what's kept him there for so long is church, is Christianity, is pastors, is everybody's idea of what a marriage should be and how bad divorce is. That's what's kept him there. What's kept him there is the fact that divorce is so bad. You'll go to hell if you get divorced. Church people saying something, your mama saying something, your dad thing. You're thinking about all the different perspectives of what's going to say how bad divorce is. That's the reason why he's been there for so long. Other than that, he's gone. Okay. Other than that, he's gone. Right. And so the reason why it becomes so difficult now is because really and truly you're fighting those ideas versus what you're seeing in reality. Truth of the matter is you don't want to be here no more. Right. You've healed to a certain degree. I wouldn't say all the way. You've healed to a certain degree, and you realize this relationship no longer benefits you anymore. She has outlived her use. It's that simple. And it sounds so bad, but that is what we're talking about in terms of using. If someone might say using spirit, well, that would be part of it, right? You've received what you can receive from her. You've gained enough what you can gain from her, and you can't do it no more. You no longer can stand in that relationship anymore because what you receive from her no longer fits you anymore. Right? So it is what it is. But you're not in love with her. You got love for her, but you're not in love with her. You know what I mean? And that's why I said that, of course, because it's an interview and it's going to be an hour and 49 minutes, probably don't have the time to do it, but we needed, like, he was asking he needs time to process what's being said, because Lataris is asking him questions and trying to unearth it and trying to get deep with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he can actually deep it and sit with it. Do you know what I mean? But again, he's showing us there's still work to be done, because every time she interrupts, he doesn't challenge it. And like, look, babe, can I get time to think about this and process the information so I can answer it? You know? Yeah.
One day. And when I came home, it was 3 long stem roses in a vase. And I was like, oh my goodness.
For context, when was this?
This was March.
Maybe March.
Okay, so
March.
February tell you in love you, March, you come home, there's 3 long stem roses in a vase.
Yeah. And so I was like in my mind, I said, I wonder if my husband trying to
Romance you.
trying to do something to show he loves me. So I called him. I said, hey, I just got home and it's 3 roses in her face. And I said, did you give me some roses? He said, have I ever given you roses? And that just it was like a dagger went through my heart, because I never even realized that he never gave me roses.
So where were those roses for then, Vincent?
He said, this homeless lady gave me some roses.
No, that's not the way that went, sir.
What happened? Where the roses come from?
The roses did.
Ooh, this is interesting. This is the first time he's challenged it. It's the first time he's challenged a rendition of the truth. It's the first time he's actually challenged it and said, actually, no, that's not how it's gone. This is interesting. Okay, why were the 3 there? Okay, why were the 3 there? Let's see.
It come from a lady that was on the road. You got those people that need money, and I didn't want the roses. I just wanted to give her money, but she insisted and forced her hand inside and gave me the roses. So I was like, okay, I just But the conversation did not go like that. She asked me, was those roses for me? And then I said, if you want them to be.
No.
The exact words
You
I said.
let me tell you, this is why I can remember it, because as soon as you said it,
I genuinely believe that he's not lying, yeah? I genuinely believe he's not lying, but it doesn't make it any better. I genuinely believe he's not lying, but the answer does not make it any better. If you want them to be, it's not any better. You understand? So I believe he's not lying, but it doesn't make it any better. Either way, it wasn't for her. You know what I mean? Either way, it wasn't for her. If you want them to be, it still doesn't mean it's for her. You know what I mean? Lord have mercy, sir. What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? You could have easily said to her on that day, yes, they're for you. I met a lady on the road and I paid her £3 and I put 3 roses for you. You didn't have to tell the truth of the story of a lady forced me to buy roses. It didn't need to happen. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have known. You know what I'm saying? Nobody would have known. You just hand it to her and say, babe. And when she comes to tell you, say, babe, I left you 3 roses, you know? And that's what I'm saying to you. And the thing about men also is, I'll be very frank with you, how men are, right, as well. When men don't love you, when men are not in love with you, this coldness really seeps in. Like, he's got emotional intelligence, yeah, but there's a coldness that really seeps in real quick. Like, for women, there's disrespect. For men, there is a nonchalant, no care. You know what I mean? I think for women, when they are at the end, there's disrespect that creeps in terms of how they behave. But with men, when they do it, it's like there's a cold cutoff. It just becomes very cold. And this is giving me this cold feeling like, bro, like, how? Yeah, he didn't want to mislead her. He didn't want to give her false hope, basically. He didn't want to give her false hope, you know? If you want them to be. If you want them to be, sir, you're absolutely bugging right now. Bugging.
Fell out. It was like a dagger hit my heart. And I thought, like, wow, because you made me think. Have I ever given you roses? That's the question you asked me.
Have you ever given her roses?
I never said that.
Well, have you ever given her roses?
I gave her flowers before, but I never,
Have you ever given me roses?
I have never gave you flowers, but I always buy flowers.
So when you say never given her roses, so you said, so your recollection is you said, hey, if you want them to be yours.
Yeah, that's what I said. And then she said, you never, and she was like, just tell me the truth. She was like, because I remember the conversation. You was
You
like, just
don't. You don't remember. And let me tell you
Oh,
why.
let him finish. You said what?
Let him thank you, Latoris, because we are tired, dude.
Because she said, just tell me the truth. If either they're for me or not. And I said, no, they're not for you.
That'd been a good time to lie, Vincent. I don't try to recommend people just lie, but sometimes
Yeah.
you just.
And this is okay. So there is something in relationships. Okay, the fact that he didn't realize as well not to lie in that moment is also kind of problematic. I don't think like there's lies that we tell each other as partners, which is better to is not lie, but it's better to not just. It's just better just to go along with the story as it is. Yeah. Okay. This is one of those moments. Okay. It wasn't even a lie. It's more of a case of you don't have to tell the full truth. You know what I mean? Why you got to tell the whole truth in this situation? What was the point? It was not going to benefit you in this moment. And I know it probably sounds very wrong to say that as a Christian, but I'm just saying that there are certain moments where it didn't need to happen, right? It didn't need to happen. I think also this is also another thing. I think that's how he felt. He might have felt like he was in a corner, but he just needed to lie. Be like, hey, look, I bought you roses. You know, if she calls, she said, did you buy me roses? Yeah, I bought you roses. They're there. You're right. Why? You know what I mean? Why bring it home then? Why not throw it in the bin? You just want to give her 3. Listen, that for me is kind of scary as well. Like, you're not deep in it. Okay, 3 quid you spent or whatever you spent on giving this lady money. She gives you roses. Why didn't you put it in the bin? Why didn't you put it in the bin before you got home? There was no need to be honest in this moment. So what he was trying to do was level set and make sure she didn't get her hopes up. You were still creating distance between yourself and her. Let's keep it a buck. You were still creating a distance between yourself and her, right? You were still creating distance. Whew. Whew. I don't know why you put it in the house if you knew no one's gonna ask you. You know what I mean? Like, why do it? Just don't bring it home then. You know what I mean? Like you getting what you put out.
Just
But at that time, we
but
had
this
the conversation.
but that's why because
Did he not just tell you that did he not just tell you that relax? Did he not just tell you let him finish an answer? Why are you not letting him answer? We can't get an answer if you're gonna keep interrupting.
he doesn't realize, like, because he's been so manipulative in our marriage. It's like he switches up the conversation all the time. I remember because I fell on the floor and I said, Lord, thank you. Lord, thank you for my roses. God gave me roses. You thought it was like something you was doing, but God gave me roses because, like, that's.
So you went back and accepted those roses as if they were yours?
They were from God. They were mine. They were from God because God speaks in 3. When God.
Hey. Okay, that one. Okay, sis, I'm gonna need you to whoop. Okay, I'm gonna need you to whoop. Whoo. Woo, sis. Woo, woosa. I can see why. I can see why he told the truth. Hey, sis.
He'll speak to you with the number 3. And I knew God was speaking because at that point, like I was losing my mind. And God was just doing different things, like sending me signs to help me to not lose it.
Let me ask you this, Vincent. What made you tell you?
And by the way, God speaks in more than 3. If you look at Bible numerology, there are several. God speaks in so many different numbers. You know what I mean? But what's more important is what number does he speak to you in? Because it can't just be numbers. Also, I mean, let me take an example, right? And this is why I call it over-spiritualizing your relationship, right? I remember when I was younger, when I first came into the faith, I asked God for a sign. I remember one day I was walking in my hometown and I was heading to London and I was wearing a hoodie that my boy gave to me. So basically he had a hoodie that he had never worn and he gave it to me for free. And I was like, yeah, bro, there was a Nike hoodie. It was beautiful, black, sexy, looking like how the tech fleeces usually look now. This is years ago, right? When I first got saved. And I remember I was walking past the shop in the mirror and I looked at myself and said, this looks bad. Whoa. And I just heard God clearly say, you're going to have to give that away. I said, no, I won't. He said, freely as was been given to you, freely I will give to you, right? Freely as, what's the scripture? I'm misquoting. I apologize. I'm misquoting. It's about freely you've been given and something. I've misquoted. I apologize, guys. Let me not find that. But basically, I had to give away the top, right? So I get to London. I meet this homeless dude, yeah? And it's cold that day. I mean, it is chaps this day. And I met this dude who I haven't spoken to since ever again. He's from the French or whatever, from France or whatever. He had come over here to play basketball. I'm sure he's probably lying now, but who knows? Anyway, and everything like that, right? So obviously, and I remember at this point, I was working at McDonald's. I barely had any coins. This brother's like, can you get me a coffee? Can you get me a hot chocolate? Blah, blah. So we go into a shop in King's Cross, Euston, in London, basically. And I get to there and, and then I get to there, and as I get to the shop, this guy just orders a coffee, a croissant, and popcorn. And my account, I'm in my head, I'm going, I don't know if my account is going to pass this because I have basically like £8 in my account. Pay for it, it goes through. I'm like, oh, for frick's sake, fantastic, great. Get him the coffee. And then as we're talking, we have like an hour conversation. As we finish, he looks at me, okay? He looked at me, and I just knew at that point in time, that when he looked at me and then he said, he said, it's really cold. And I said, no, and no again, because this hoodie's, I just got it like a few weeks ago. I've worn it once. What do you mean? And in that moment, he's like, oh, it's so cold. And I'm like, and it's going to get colder in here because you're on the streets. So it's going to get colder. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to get going, okay? I literally took 2-3 steps, and I just said to myself, God did say, you have to give up this hoodie. So as he walks away, I said, bro, I took the hoodie off. I unzipped it, and I handed it to him. This hoodie, you actually see it in, I think if I still got the video up on my YouTube, on my other YouTube, it's a very old way I used to dance in underground stations. It's in that hoodie, right? So I gave him the hoodie. Okay, all right? So why am I saying this story? Because whilst I was in London, I was heading to a destination, and the doors on the train, on the tube, shut and then it opened. And they did it twice. And I said, God, are you talking to me? I said, are you wanting me to go and evangelize this person on the tube? Because I'm seeing her and I probably should evangelize her, but I'm not sure. I said, if it is, then do it again. The door shut and it opened again. I said, Mo, but just in case it's malfunction, one more time. The door shut and it opened again. But on this occasion, I didn't go forward. Right? God can speak to you in multiple ways. Telling me that he only speaks in threes tells me you've boxed God in. And I'm getting concerned because you're boxing God in. That's a very narrow way to look at how God speaks. He doesn't speak in threes. He speaks in anything, not just numbers, words. He speaks in your voice and he speaks. Sometimes people will say this when they're watching YouTube. God spoke to me when you spoke, coach. I'll be like, oh, I don't know. I don't even know. So to say that God speaks in threes, This is the religious aspect of looking at God. God can speak in multiple, diverse ways. There's not one way he speaks. He can speak to you through this kind of juice right now, if he wants to. A donkey he chose to speak through. Sis, I'm telling you, open up them thoughts, okay?
Your wife to start watching the podcast.
Because I wanted her to get healing.
Let me tell you how interesting that is. And that's why I say it's all God. I can't even be, it's crazy. Because your wife reached out to me kind of mad. she was like, my husband done got me watching your stuff. And why is my husband watching something called Dear Future Wifey? I'm his wife. Why is he looking for a future wife? She was all messed up. She said, I wasn't trying to watch your stuff for nothing. And then she broke down and said, let me start watching some stuff. And she started finding healing. And she would be like, wow, and she'll DM me and talk about an episode or whatnot. And in her DM, I could tell how broken she was. And so I would send a memo, a prayer to her and say, keep yourself together, queen. And I will speak and speak life. What is so crazy about this is that you did push your wife towards healing, all the way to the point of the person who actually has the podcast where she started DMing me, and then to the point of where for your birthday, let me tell you this, brother. I just want to tell you how much, let me ask you this. Do you believe your wife loves you?
I know she loved me.
How you know?
Because she did a whole lot. She put up with my mess.
Okay. So let me tell you how much she loves you.
Can I also be true as well? Can I also be honest as well? Putting up with people's BS is also not love. I know some people, I know. Putting up with people's BS is also not about love. Some of you are literally staying in stuff, not because you love them, but because you have an inability to break free. You have trauma. The trauma is reacting to the person, the situation. Some of you don't exit relationships, not because I love them so much. No, you have trauma. You have abandonment issues. You don't know how to leave relationships on time. And because you're scared that I might not get another partner, it's not to do with love. Sometimes we confuse that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll look, and I'm saying this because we'll look at him and be like, he didn't love his wife. I'm looking at her like, do you know if you really loved him? Just because you stuck it out does also mean that you loved him. Sometimes we can see that and be, I love them. No, because if you knew what true love was, this is also a relationship you shouldn't be in, right? If I love you, there's also relationships I don't enter into because I know that you cannot love me and I cannot love you the way I need to be loved. Do you know what I'm saying, right? So again, I'm not saying that personally for her, but I'm saying in general, sometimes we enter and say, I love this person so much. No, you wanted someone to love you so much, you were willing to put up with absolute crap. And your desperation or search for love put you in a place where you were so hungry and desperate, you stayed in something longer than it needed to be. Okay? All right? Beyond what God had called us to be. And because we're not God, this is why we need God. Because God will tell you the time is up or get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So sometimes we stay in relationships. I've been there. I've stayed in relationships and I've been like, I just because I love that person so much. No. Psychologically, what was happening, the trauma was speaking heavily. The trauma was speaking a lot, and you stayed in it because you were scared to leave, scared to be alone, scared to actually start anew. You know what I mean? You thought nobody could love you the way they loved you, right? I can't get better than what I've got right here. Your daddy didn't love you, or your mum didn't love you, and do you want this person loves you more than this person has shown more interest, not love, more interest and more care towards you than your parents have ever showed you. And so that's why you're in that situation for longer than it needs to be. Nobody cares about me, nobody loves me, but no one sticks around you, and yet your relationship partner, whether they're bad, no matter how bad they're stuck around you, they must care about me. I know, because when you know what love is, and when we talk about healing, and when you start healing, you start to look at trauma ugly. It's like, that's ugly. I can't be around that. And it's so interesting that the same thing about the way that God can't be around sin. What I mean by that does not mean that when you sin that God leaves you. No, there's a difference. Because remember, you're holy. I know some people I'm going to mess up some people's theology right now, real quick. You are holy, not because of what you did. You're holy because the person within you makes you holy. I want to let people know, when you sin, you're still holy. And I'm going to mess up some people's theology right now. You're not getting into heaven because you're a good Christian. You're getting into heaven because the person within you is good. That's Christ. You're not getting into heaven because you did good deeds. You're not getting into heaven because you're more obedient than anybody else. You get into heaven because the person inside of you is perfect. Only perfection and sinlessness gets into heaven. And since you and I are not those things, but the person within us makes us those things, that's what gets you into heaven. So now when we talk about relationship and talk about healing, the biggest thing is when you start to heal and see things in the perfection, the way that God starts to see things, you don't like being around trauma. You don't like being around ugliness. You don't like being around toxicity. You don't like dating people that are broken because it doesn't sit right with you. But we're human beings, so we all got a little bit of our own trauma we're going through. You know what I mean? So we're all working on our own things. You know what I mean? So yes, you know. So just in case anybody's out there, I want to let you know, listen, none of us are holy by ourselves. We are holy because Christ is in us. No matter what you've done as a Christian, no matter how far you've gone to the left, if you truly are born again, you have the Holy Spirit within you, and that is what gets you into heaven. That's a seal. That's a guarantee that God's going to deliver you from A to B. Okay? All right? That's what he's going to get you from A to B. It is God that's within you that makes you be able to enter to the heaven. And that's that healing that he does for you. And when we begin to heal emotionally, and we begin to heal in those areas, we start to see when people have the mesh, you're like, oh, I even have empathy for you, but I can't enter a relationship with you, but I have empathy for you because I can see that's not the road to go down. You know what I mean? All right, cool. Let's keep it going. I like where it's going.
She had prepared a trip for you for your birthday, right? Mm-hmm. When was your birthday?
The 15th.
15th of what?
April.
15th of April. She had reached out to me April the 10th. And then she said that she still had a trip planned for you that she still wanted to execute for your birthday. Want to just take y'all on the getaway. Y'all went and did that. On the way going to, where y'all go to Orlando? Mm-hmm. Y'all went to Orlando. On the way to Orlando, y'all was watching the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Y'all had, was the trip great? Was it cool on the way going there? Did y'all get a chance to talk about a lot of stuff?
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Y'all had a very peaceful vacation. Mm-hmm. Then she DM'd me and said, you know, my husband really, really loves your podcast. It would mean the world to him if you were to just call him on his birthday. That's what your wife said. I said, deal. I love talking to men. I said, video call me when he's around on Instagram and I'm gonna talk to him. And that's how you and I got on that phone that day. Your wife was still trying to do something, gifting you with something else to just put a smile on your face. And what was so beautiful about that moment is that, of course, I didn't know all the sacrifice that has taken place throughout the marriage or whatever, but I could assume a whole lot just because I saw how of a willing heart that she had after you telling her that I never loved you. And she says, I'm going to still take him on this trip. Because I know some women that you wasn't going to be going on that trip. I know some women that trip would have been canceled. You would have got put out the house. You'd have been on your own. She would have took herself on a trip. She would have went on a girl's trip and she would have kicked it and did whatever she wanted to do. I know those type of women. But your wife is so sacrificial. She said, you know what? I said I'm going to do this and I'm going to still do this with my husband. Beautiful queen. Beautiful heart to do that for you. And so I don't want that to go unnoticed. I don't want that to go where it's just another thing just thrown out there of a sacrifice to my wife. She always does that. No, she didn't do it. She ain't never did it in this stage. I don't give a dang what she's done for you all up until this point. She's never done it after you told her, I have never loved you. So everything that has transpired from February on now is grace. That's straight bonus. That's like, I don't even have to do this no more. But I'm still serving you because all I know how to be is a wife. So I'm still being a wife to you. Because she hasn't turned as an enemy towards you. And I thank God for that, because at the end of the day, as I spoke to both of y'all have a better relationship now than y'all have had ever before. True or false?
True.
So in the point of honesty and this truth that has transpired, it created a new dynamic to say, yeah, because I want people thinking that you're still fighting for this marriage. So Prevail, are you fighting for this marriage?
No.
No, she
I'm gone.
Let me ask you this so people understand, because I want them to mistaking your tears as her husband is leaving her and she want to hold on. No. Explain to them why you are no longer fighting.
Because you don't get to do that. You don't get to tell me that you never loved me. Like, you don't get to toy with my heart like that. You don't get to do it. Because the one thing about it, as horrible as he was to me, I would never have left him. Ever. I would have stayed right there and been miserable for 50 years because I would have never abandoned him, ever.
Because you promised him that early on. So one of the things that y'all said when y'all wanted to come on this podcast, you said, listen, when we file for divorce in our small little town, that everybody knows. The minute that we file for it, everybody gonna get it, and they're gonna be speculating, saying all this other whatever. So I wanted to come on this, y'all want to come on the podcast so that y'all can tell y'all's truth and y'all never have to repeat it again. If someone has a question, like, why y'all getting divorced? Go watch that podcast. Is that true? Is that what?
Well, and it's one of those things where, and he doesn't understand this because I have kept telling him, like, you don't realize that even in this, I'm covering you. And I'm covering you because, like, I didn't want people to hate him.
Right.
Right. Like, my sisters, them heifers was going to get him.
I know
Okay.
they
was
were
gonna,
family right
and
now.
when they find out, he'll be done moved out, so it'll be safe for him. Right. But I wanted there to be a balance because I didn't want to tell the story and tell it in a way where I was just dogging him, or because I've never done it.
And y'all have kids. That's just another thing too I want people to be mindful of, because people have a tendency to be more vindictive than the person that the situation happened to. You know, it's like you could be dealing with, you like, hey, sharing why you got a divorce, like I had the privilege of doing 7 years, six is right now for 30, 40, 50 years, and they have a whole family down the street. You know what I'm saying? And what I say, God, I want you to teach me how to divorce my wife with grace. And I served my wife through my divorce. I don't tell people all the specifics that I did, but that's the reason why our relationship is so solid, is because
I'm sorry for you wasting your time. I'm sorry for not being able to execute the expectation.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
I hear you. And I'm trying to feel you. Because other than that, when you start saying other stuff, she'd be like, she just be like,
And the thing about it is the conversation, I'm already on that journey. And that's why the relationship is so...
It's happy. It's healthy right now.
I know I messed up, and I want to tell you this while we're on camera. I'm sorry for...
This, I know, let me tell you something. In about 3, 4, 5 years time, maybe even less, he'll come back apologizing to her for what he did. You know what I mean? He'll come back. In about 3, 4 years time, he'll tell her a proper sorry. Like, he's telling her sorry now, but he will tell her a proper sorry. If the healing journey is real, in 3 or 4 years time, he will properly apologize. You know, I'm gonna tell you this now. He might be healed before she does. Okay, he might catch his full healing before she does, because he exited this in his mind. He's already exited. Right? In his mind, he's already exited. And he's already thinking about the journey he's about to take. Can I be honest with you? The guy is jumping for joy in his spirit. I'm being very honest with you. He's already jumping for joy. In his head, he's like, I'm free. I am free. I am free. I got my freedom. It says a lot. Like, he's gone. You know what I'm saying? Because in his head, he told her the truth and he's free. That's it. But if she doesn't come to a realization of what she has also contributed, she's going to be stuck. That's why the brother's so... Of course, the brother's got, less feelings and everything like that. But he's doing that because he's gone. He's gone. He's out. He's finished. He's free. I'm telling you. In his head, that's how he's feeling. That's how he's feeling free. You know what I mean?
For all that I put you through. I'm sorry for you wasting your time. I'm sorry for not being able to execute the expectations that you require me to execute. I'm sorry for just piercing your heart and not instead of healing it, I was piercing it.
So how'd y'all get to this beautiful moment where y'all actually kicking it? Y'all on another trip together? Y'all done came to Dallas? How y'all able to just hang out with each other like this, going through a divorce?
Because I want my heart to be right. I want my heart to be pure. Because it was a 12-year, like I said, God, this was a 12-year sacrifice. Like, I give you this time. And so I want my kids to have a great father. So I say back to you, I bless you. I want you to be the man that God intended for you to be. They created you to be. I want you to be a man of valor, a man of honor, a man of integrity. I want you to be a demon buster. I want you to be everything that God purposed you to be.
I want to close this out in prayer.
I'll tell you now, she has fluffed him up for another woman. Someone else is about to get the goodness of this guy. And I know it sounds painful, and it really is. But he has taken the best years of her life, kids. I'm telling you, nah. All right? Okay. Yeah, he gon' yeah, it's gonna be tight. Yeah, it's tight.
And Vince, I want you to lead the prayer. Let's join hands. And to permeate his heart and his mind on a level that you've never touched him before. Let him have an encounter. Let him have his road to Damascus. Thank you for your vulnerability. Prevalia, I'm gonna give you the last words. What are you feeling right now?
I just want people to be, I want people to be healed. I want people that are hurting, people that are weak, people that are lost, people that are wayward, whatever it is, to just know that God loves you and he's there for whatever you're going through.
Yes.
It's like I felt like I was losing my mind. And I was losing my mind, and God just came and wrapped me in his arms. I fell out on the door, like I fell out, and God just started swaying like he was dancing with me. When I tell you, God is so amazing, and he is everything that you need. He's everything that you need. It's no way to make it without him. Whatever heartache, whatever trial, whatever trouble, you need Jesus. And that's why I'm here. I'm here so that people just know to look to Jesus, whatever it is that you're going through. Whatever heartache. God said that that's what we were supposed to do. We're here to heal the brokenhearted.
Yes.
And I hope that he can use my broken heart to heal your broken heart.
Yes.
I hope that he can take you and just wrap you in his arms and just love on you. And those who don't have love, you never felt love from a mother, you never felt love from a father, you never felt loved in your marriage, whatever the case, know that God loves you and his love is all you need. His love is all you need.
That's amazing. Listen. Are y'all even on social media? If y'all on social media, I don't think Prevalia just be snooping or whatever. She don't be really doing nothing on social media to be snooping and all this. I do want to address this, which is interesting. Because Prevalia, you was reaching out to me a lot and I would send prayers and I would give you words of encouragement. But then you felt like I abandoned you when I said I can no longer continue having those conversations with you, right? Mm-hmm. Why did you feel so abandoned in that moment?
Because it was like during that time, it was like during those 2 months. So it was February, he told me, March, I was going crazy. I was losing my mind. I couldn't see anything but 12 years wasted. That's all I could see. It was like, that's all I could focus on.
And so April the 10th, you reached out to me. We sent some prayers.
But see, that's the thing. That's why God is so amazing. That's what I'm saying. Like every step of the way, God was doing something. Yep. Because I had just spoke to God and I was like, God, I'm so broken. My heart is just broken. I don't know what to do. And he had told me, he had told me so much, but he told me, to watch your podcast. And I was like, I was calling My Future Wifey. I ain't watching no My Future Wifey. No, I ain't watching it. And it was the episode with D3ATH on there. And it said, guard your heart.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I said, oh, you got jokes, God, you funny. Yeah, you funny. Okay, haha. And I watched it and I cried with her and I was really inundated by her. And I remember her saying, she was like, but, I was walking with God through this. It was the situation she was talking about. And she said, but I walked with God through this. And I was like, and it just sent me in prophetically. Like, I was like, girl, you passed the test. Girl, you got it. You did that. And I remember I was watching it and I was just kind of like going in and out because I was in that moment of crazy. And in your letter, you said, let me kiss your heart. And it was like God spoke directly to me and the wind of the spirit came and started to stir. And when the wind of the spirit started to stir in my heart, it was like I could finally take a breath. I said, I breathed like I hadn't breathed like since he told me. I lost all my breath. And I was able to breathe and I was like, what? Like it was crazy. And it was like I was like, God, you're so amazing. Like I was so in love with Jesus because he used you to speak to me.
Did you understand why I said I couldn't continue communicating?
No.
It's because when a woman is in that vulnerable space like that and you're getting oxygen from somebody else that's not your husband done told you didn't love you, then it could create an emotional affair. And so I said I want to protect you in that space so that you didn't look, because like you said, no one knew that y'all going through divorce. It's just you and him, and I said I didn't want to start creating an unhealthy relationship between you and I by me being that that confidant or that I always call it oxygen, because when you're and you just said that out your own mouth, is that when you can't breathe, and I've been in those situations before, you can't breathe, you're suffocating, and then somebody comes and they hand you an oxygen mask, you like, wow, hey, how you doing? You done provided oxygen in this moment. Next thing you know, you're looking at me with goo eyes, and then me and your husband looking at each other, and he's like, well, I'm divorced anyway, you can have it. I'm like, oh, this ain't what we came on here for. It'd be a whole other situation. So I said, out of wisdom from the Holy Spirit, to say, hey, listen, God got you. I can't, to continue communicating with you like that, because I know in this broken stage that as healthy as it can be, it can go from healthy to unhealthy really quickly. So I just want to let you know from a man standpoint why I did that. And like I said, I understand. That's why people don't understand how affairs happen. It happens just like that. A spouse will leave another spouse uncovered, and then we have the propensity to get those needs met externally, and so it starts off very innocent, and the next thing you know, y'all having conversations, and then now you're not having conversations in front of your spouse, because you're over sneaking, you're sitting in the car having conversations, and all right, I'm gonna go in the house now, and it's just cool, and the next thing you know, y'all done meet up, and the next thing you know, y'all done slip and y'all done have sex. It's a gradual process, and me having gone through that in the past in my marriage, I'm when I say I got laser focus, I'm like, I know that's gonna start. Nope, cut that off real quick. You know what I'm saying? I can see that a mile away, and it comes from something very innocent, and so I just want to make sure I still protect you and honor your husband in that, and then honor my God and myself. So listen, y'all.
Woo, Chile. Okay, guys. Wow, what an episode! What an episode! This was a two-parter and was very, very powerful. I want to say this. Anybody out there who's going through something similar, I want you to focus on this, right? If all your concentration is about what the other person did and why a union failed, I would ask you to pre-adventure and take a trip down accountability lane, okay? If there's past relationships where you look back and all you can only see is that the other person is the problem, I would pre-adventure to say, ask yourself the real question, am I being honest with myself? Because before you even get into a relationship, your choice is a problem, right? Your choice is a problem. If that person had clear red flags and you missed them, your choice was a problem. There is something that you got to take accountability for. There's a learning process in time. To keep saying that I keep getting forward and men are liars or women are liars or women are gold diggers and men are gold diggers, right? Then I honestly feel like you need to just sit down, take some time out, and just focus and review the information once more again, as well. Before I finish that point, I want to say this. Therapist said, too many triggers, I'm gone. This man's crossing all sides boundaries with her. Then I ask her why she felt abandoned. I'll be honest with you. The reason being is because when people bond with people, if you're a therapist, you'll notice people emotionally bond with people. And when you are bonding with somebody who's in a very precarious place, which is where, similar enough as people, we talk about, oh, don't let a man or woman cry on your shoulder. It's the same thing. It's because people start forming attachments with you when you're giving them something completely different. And what he was doing was making sure that, nothing would come out of this. And she clearly would have felt abandoned if he said, now I've got to put a boundary in place and I cannot continue the relationship as it exists anymore. Of course you can feel some type of abandonment. Her feeling wasn't even unnatural. A lot of us would feel that type of way because somebody's giving you something different. And if they set a boundary with you, it can feel like abandonment. So there's nothing narky about it at all. It's nothing narky about it. It's just him trying to set boundaries, which I believe is a correct procedure. But back onto accountability, I think we watched this whole an hour and 46 minutes interview. And one thing I would say is I can't remember, did she once take accountability for anything that went wrong in that relationship? At any point, did she take 1 ounce of accountability in this marriage? Did she have any ounce of self-awareness as to what she contributed towards the failing of this relationship? Right? This is not a woman thing or a man thing. This is somebody who refuses to see that they contribute towards downfall of their own kingdom. Right? So, did she take accountability, Nancy? I didn't see where she took accountability. That's why I didn't hear any accountability. So Nancy, maybe you can tell me where she took it so I can actually rescind my statement, but I didn't hear her once take any accountability for what she got wrong. And this is why it's important and this is why I tell anybody, men or women, if someone tells you about their past relationship and you keep telling me about what they did, I'm going to have a problem with you. If you can't look back at situations and tell me, do you know what? He was moving mad, he did all the things, but do you know what? When I look back and I saw the red flags, I saw X, Y, Z coming, and I didn't do anything about it. If you can't tell me that, I don't want to know. If all your representation of past relationship is about what the other person did, then I know that you don't take accountability for things that you make mistakes on. Right? You can't. I'll tell you this part for free. I think I've told you guys this happened, right? When I had a particular relationship that I was in, okay, for 2-3 years, whatever, and I was with the girl, all right? And I believe that God told me to separate, but I took too long. She ended up separating with me first and foremost. But you know what? My trauma of wanting to hold on, the fear of losing her, made me stay and tell her, listen, let's just go on a break, and you know what? We'll figure it out in a few months' time and see where you're at, right? So all of that in between, 12 months pass. We have a conversation again. She comes back into my life. I'm like, God, you must have spoken. It's a short story. And then we get on a phone conversation because I can see that you're still kind of feeling the other guy that you were with whilst we're on a break. And then I ask her to make a decision. Choose between me and the other guy, right? And I'm telling this because it's actually very similar to what she's talking about, right? The girl that I was with told me she chooses the other guy. Right? And I remember I was just like, what the frick? So why the frick did you come back? And I was even still trying to persuade her to come to my side, even after she gave her answer, right? And after we finished, long story short, again, because that's the part I want you to focus on. The fact that I asked her a direct question to make a choice, myself and another guy, and she chose the other guy. Now, just like she got told, I got told that the person doesn't love me the same way anymore. I got told the exact same thing. Okay? All right? I got told the exact same thing. But after the situation happened, I went on my walk and I spoke with God. And the thing that came up to me was, you are a fool if you're going to ignore red flags and blame somebody else. Don't get it twisted. I was still hurt by what the person did. I was still hurt by some of the other things that happened within the course of the relationship. I was still hurt by some of the other things that the other person, was bringing down, was doing to me, and they have to take accountability for their actions. But if I tell the story to somebody and I don't take accountability for the fact that, first and foremost, the conversation should have never got to the stage where I'm asking you to choose between me and someone else. Because why is it that you're choosing between me and someone else? Why am I in a position where you are choosing between myself and another person? She's already chosen. If I'm asking her to choose between myself and another guy, she's already chosen. I should be out. That was a red flag in itself. And there were several other things that were happening before then that were telling me to get out, and I didn't get out. There was nobody else to blame and nobody else who wasted my time except me. Do you know what I did? I chalked it up to the game and I said, do you know what? You made a mistake. You did it. Now you got to learn. Right? Now I got to learn. Chalk it up to the game because now you got to learn. That was your mistake. No one else's. No one else's. So we talk about accountability on this side of the internet because it saves you from making the same mistake twice, right? It helps you to make sure you can choose better in future. And it stops you from feeling like things are just happening to you. Things are not just happening to you. They're not just happening to you. It is not by luck that things are happening to you. All right? So, importantly enough, I've been there. I know. I've been hurt by people and I know how it feels. I even fasted and prayed for a whole month. You know what I'm saying? 6 to 6 every day for a whole month in April. And you think this is new? Let me tell you, I even stopped eating at one point. Don't tell me about pain. I know pain. I know when someone tells me that they love me, come back to me and can go with somebody else. while they're telling they love me, they can go to somebody else and do things to that other person and come back and tell me they love me. I've been there, I know, but I must take accountability. I must take accountability. No one else. Even when I was hurt, I was still saying, wow, you did all of this, but where was I? What was I allowing this? What was I doing? What was I doing? You must take accountability. Okay? All right. So, listen, we appreciate you guys for sticking with us again. You guys keep sending me things to react to. We appreciate it. This was a very deep one. This was a very deep one indeed. Very, very deep one indeed. And, it was good to review because I think we did some really key, powerful lessons, that needed to be had. And the victim shaming part, and again, the reason why I say this because I've been in those situations where I've done stuff, and I end up the victim. But I don't want to be a victim of my life. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a victim of my life. I want to be able to say I have control over my life, or at least I have control over things that that I'm choosing to do. If I chose to enter a relationship, I can also choose to take accountability and make sure that if I choose, I have to be sensible myself to not ignore certain red flags. Okay? So listen, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. In fact, I might have to do a quick family and fiance because that was deep, y'all. Family and fiance, hey, that was a deep one that happened. Family and fiance, but we'll come back to you guys in a sec. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right. Much love. Oh my days. One should not want to be a victim again.